Hello class. This next exercise is to talk about the windows. I have uploaded to the my.dunwoody site under the kind of as-built section two window families. You'll see the window casement integrity double height. This is one that I have made that kind of meets the requirements of this project. And there also is the one that's downloaded from their website, the Infinity insert. So this one is necessary for doing the ones where they don't have the kind of lower operable window. And then this one, you'll find that when you install it, there are four different families that I put together, basically the size of the windows we need for the class. So let's get started, but make sure you've got these downloaded, and then we can start the exercise of inserting these into the model. I'm going to show one where you, from scratch, where a lot of you are kind of just fitting your walls in and putting the windows in, so we'll do that with this model. And then I have the existing where we're going to show you how for some of you that have finished the model, how to actually change the window in there. There are some kind of unique things that will happen. So here I'm going to do a real quick look at the web page. You'll see here in the as-built documentation, these are the two window families that you need to download, and make sure you have those in a folder for this project so you can reference them. So let's go back here and let's get started. So let's open up the plan. So right now I'm showing here I'm on level 2, and what I have done is inserted one of the windows here, and as you go and look at the plan, let's go to page. You're going to see that the way they've dimensioned it is they have the overall, or the width from the corner to the window, and then they show the width of the window itself. So in our case, I had to figure out where to place the window, and then of course we're going to the center line is how it likes to manage that. So you'll have to convert this to 27 feet to get to the center line of that. And then when you go over here, the next window that we're going to place is a 4-foot wide window, and there's two of those next to each other. And so that will be kind of the 1 foot plus the 14 at 15 plus half of that window, which should be 2 feet. So we're at 18 feet from the center line of this window to the center line of this window. So let's go through that exercise real quick so you can see that. So as mentioned before, let me go and close this real quick. When you open up these windows, you'll get a family similar to this. So here's the window that we're going to actually place. It's set in based on the default head height and then the size of the window. There's two different versions. If you go in there and we look at it in the window type, when I pull back up in the other exercise, hang on, let's shut this. So let's go up here to window. We're going to place, so here they're showing the affinity, and I've made two different sizes for that, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then there are 4 different windows that have been made for this exercise. So we have the 8-foot 6 high double window. This is the 4-foot wide one, and then we have a thin, which would be the 2-foot wide one. These are the typical windows throughout most of the building. I also have made you a 9-foot 6 window. These are for the 5th and 6th level, so you have those. So let's go down here. We're going to do it the 4-foot wide, which would be the first one we want to kind of place. And I am, as I mentioned before, going down here. You can see that there's a swing and some other stuff. That stuff will go away once we place it. But I'm going to try to make sure that I'm 18 feet off the center, and you can see how that shows up. Yep. And I placed it backwards, so I'm going to flip it. Get it. Make sure it is out. What's nice is that I can also now put another window in, knowing that that one's going to be 4 feet off center. There again, flipping that. Now for some reason it wants to show these, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that. These right hand visibility are showing up here, but actually in elevation, let's go over here. This is the west wall. You will see that they have the kind of awning window, and this only shows up on the 4 foot wide. The 2 foot wide actually has a pretty standard. So this is an example of how these windows can start to be placed in. I started off with placing the 2 foot in the elevator, and then this is the affinity window, and there again I've made two. They should be downloaded. There's a 5 foot high one and a 6 foot high window. In this particular case, on the first floor, it's 5 foot high. They there again should be measured off the center line. These should both be in the same location. So apparently that's not quite the case here, but if I go back to my as-builts, might be where the line is being referenced, so that's why. If I were to come up here and do my dimensions, so do wall faces, and of course it's going to want to pick the center line of the window. And you can see here I had one window that's a little bit longer than the other one, so I'm going to delete the one. This is really helpful, so if you place your windows, some of you have been doing more of the exercise of placing them and then coming back and relocating them. That's just fine. And then you just need to click on the item you want to move, and you can change that dimension. So now I can go check on the elevation, and now they're lined up perfectly. So there again, this is our typical 2 foot window that we'll be putting in. You can see here, this is the one that I've made for you, and then of course the 4 foot wide, and you can see with the awning on it. So we are in good shape there. Those are a majority of the window types that you'll be putting through if you're not doing the curtain wall. And so this becomes very helpful for starting to kind of place all your windows. For those of you that have basically have built this ahead of time and have just kind of your standard windows in, I'm going to open up the model and we'll take care of that one here. Let's stop here. I'm going to close this. We'll save ARCH. Okay, so we're going to come up here to the Brunsfield existing one. So here's a model that's been put together. You'll notice that there again they've kind of done a fixed window. So this is very similar, but it's not quite the same because this is actually more of like a curtain wall window with a kind of a broken frame. The Affinity one actually has a little different look to it. It's actually 2 different windows sitting on top of each other. So I'm going to click on this window, and it's showing here a fixed window, and I'm going to come down here and find my Infinity. So here's the 8'6" thin, which would be the 2 footer. So I'm going to place that in there. Now one of the things you're going to do is sometimes, depending on where the head height was located, this one has actually dropped it down. So I'm going to go back in here just because the settings are different for the existing window. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to see my head height. Now I know that ours needs to be 8 foot 9 1/4 inches. So if I apply that for the head height, now it's going to place it back in, and you can see the big difference between this window, which is kind of based on the dimensions of the of what's in the drawings, and then this window here that was just placed in here using a little more generic layout. So there again, this one, and as you can see here, let's do a 4 foot wide. Same problem. This one's got a head height at 6 feet. We want to make sure we're at 8, 9 1/4. And you can see here, this shows the kind of awning condition that it opens up, and these are fixed panels. And there again, you can start to go through and modify the windows. So you can see here, they started to do that with some of these other windows over here. And there again, so if you have windows already placed in, you can replace them with these Affinity modified ones so that you can have your model look accurate to how it's built. So anyway, that is the exercise for kind of inserting the windows. It's not that hard once you get the window types downloaded, and you just start placing them there again. Just keep checking when you place them in. If you have some visibility issues, always check here. There's the kind of swings, which will show. If you don't want, if it is a fixed panel, these should be all blank, and make sure your head height is showing up in these, at least these lower levels, or a majority of them 8 foot 9 1/4. When you get up to the upper levels, then that would be 9 foot 9 1/4. Anyway, hopefully that gets you started on Windows, and I'll talk to you in class if you have any questions with regards to this. Anyway, good luck, and I'll see you in class.